When Harold turned 61, he realized something unsettling. His phone had stopped ringing. Not entirely, of course. There were still occasional calls from his daughter, who lived 2 time zones away, and his sister would check in every few weeks. But the rhythm of family had changed. The house, once bursting with voices, now echoed with quiet. Holidays were smaller, the calendar less full. It wasn't anyone's fault, really. Life had just shifted. At first, Harold tried to pretend nothing had changed. He kept waiting for family to fill the void. But one rainy evening, after microwaving dinner and eating alone in front of the television for the third night in a row, he admitted something out loud. This can't be all there is. And so began a slow, steady transformation. Harold stopped looking only to family for connection, support, or meaning. In doing so, he discovered 5 unexpected pillars, foundations that would hold him up with more consistency, strength, and resilience than he ever imagined. No one. Purpose. The first pillar came disguised as boredom. With no more job to go to and fewer family responsibilities, Harold found himself wandering through days that lacked weight. One morning, he visited the local library and saw a flyer for a community literacy program looking for volunteer tutors. Without much thought, he signed up. 2 weeks later, he was sitting across from Luis, a 32-year-old father of 2 who wanted to improve his reading. Harold found himself looking forward to those lessons more than anything else. There was something deeply grounding about being needed, not by blood, but by choice. Through teaching, Harold reconnected with his own voice. He began writing short stories, reading more, staying engaged with current events so he could explain things better to Luis. Helping someone else gave shape to his days and gave him a reason to keep growing. Health. The second pillar made itself known after a scare. Harold had ignored the ache in his chest for weeks before finally seeing a doctor. It turned out to be nothing serious, but the experience shook him. He realized he couldn't count on anyone else to take care of his body. Not his kids, not his doctor, not even his past good luck. It was up to him now. He began walking every morning, rain or shine. At first, it was just 10 minutes to the park and back. Over time, those walks turned into longer hikes. He joined a small Tai Chi group on Saturday mornings. He replaced heavy dinners with lighter meals and started drinking more water. His sleep improved. His mood lifted. He felt stronger, not just in muscle, but in agency. Family could offer love, but they couldn't exercise for him. They couldn't feed him better food or drag him to a checkup. That had to come from within. And as Harold grew healthier, he felt more self-reliant than he had in years. 3. Friendship. The third pillar came softly, like a song you didn't realize you missed until you heard it again. At a neighborhood cleanup event, Harold struck up a conversation with a retired nurse named Carla. They bonded over their shared love of jazz and mutual confusion over composting bins. One coffee turned into weekly lunches. Then a group of 4, then 8. These weren't old college buddies or long-lost cousins. They were people choosing to show up for one another. Friends who brought soup when someone was sick. Friends who laughed until tears came. Friends who didn't care if your family never called, because they did. Harold realized that chosen family could be just as powerful as the one you're born into. Maybe even more so, because the connection was deliberate. There was no obligation, just mutual joy. 4. Curiosity. The fourth pillar surprised him most of all. Harold thought curiosity was for the young, for students and travelers and artists. But in the quiet of his new life, he found himself asking questions again. He learned how to bake bread. He read books on astronomy. He downloaded an app to learn French, just in case he ever made it to Paris. He took an online course in bird watching. He visited local museums, even ones he thought would be boring. Every new interest opened another door. Every skill learned gave him a fresh sense of possibility. Curiosity wasn't just about knowledge. It was about staying awake, staying engaged with the world, not retreating from it. While family could offer connection to the past, curiosity pulled Harold forward into the future. 5. Self-respect. The fifth and most foundational pillar was the hardest to build. For decades, Harold had defined himself through the lens of others. He was a provider, a parent, a partner. But with those roles quieter now, he had to ask, who am I to myself? He started keeping a journal, not of events but of thoughts. He wrote about what he loved, what he regretted, what he feared, what he hoped. Slowly, he began to appreciate the quiet force inside him, the part that had carried him through storms and joy, through loss and love. He forgave himself for past mistakes. He began setting boundaries. If someone didn't treat him with kindness or respect, he no longer justified it. He spent time alone not because he had to, but because he enjoyed it. Silence became a companion, not a punishment. This self-respect became the root system of everything else. It told him he was worthy of health, friendship, purpose, curiosity, and of love, even if it looked different now. One evening, as Harold sat in his small backyard with a mug of tea, watching the sun dip below the trees, his phone buzzed. It was a message from his daughter, just a simple photo of his grandson holding a toy airplane. He smiled. He was glad she'd thought of him. But even if she hadn't, he would still have had a good day. These 5 pillars, purpose, health, friendship, curiosity, and self-respect, held him steady. They didn't replace his family. They simply did something family couldn't always do. Stay present every day from within and around him, asking nothing more than for him to keep showing up. And Harold did, quietly, fully, and without apology.